I wanted to begin this morning by acknowledging how many of us are feeling right now. Some of you who are new to our community may not have ever met Sue, our first pastor, who started ISD with our co-director and current pastor, her sister Diana. 2 weeks ago, our soul sister, mentor, and dear friend transitioned from this plane. You will see her in how we do our services, our songs, and our commitment to ISD and our love for each other. This has been a time of great change, felt on all levels and dimensions. None of us would have guessed back in February just how much our lives would change this year. And just like Diana said, good riddance to 2020. Even though change is the one constant in our lives, predictability often brings us comfort. We were thrusted out of our comfort zones, thrown into the cold pool, to purify, to go within, to magnify and intensely focus on what is not serving, on how we can do better, be better, and feel better. As most of you know, like Diana said earlier, we've decided to end our lease for our space here at Dietz Street, where the Lotus Center began. We all knew it was the right time to move on, hemming and hawing for a few months, but especially since we can't hold services here. So I sit here at ISD right now in this beautiful space where we've created so many memories, so many mixed emotions. You can hear me getting emotional. I'm looking at Sally's painting on the wall. I can smell a dish that Maggie made in the back. I can see Loretta walking in the door, Tim in the front row, and Tom over at the music. I see Sue and Diana smiling proudly at all of us and all of our brothers and sisters. Hugs and gratitude to and for all of you. When we made the decision, we didn't realize it would necessarily coincide with Sue's transition. The timing, although overwhelming, somewhat beautiful too. In a way, we are all transitioning, Sue being the way shower to this new experience. As we collect our sacred tears, and sacred because of the memories of love that is falling from our eyes, we know that ultimately it was never about a building. It was about us. It is about us. We are stronger for the lessons, for the work, for the great work that we've done in this room together, and what we've done independently as we now walk forward hand in hand. Such a magical, life-changing few years for all of us. So now as we're looking at the path ahead, seeing how it is bending in a new direction, in our enchanted forest, of course, we can't quite see what is around the bend. We can see rays of light shining from what is back there. We can almost hear the sweet music playing, laughter, smells of good food, endless possibilities. In every now present moment, we always have a choice to turn around and go back, to constrict into fear and lack or despair, or we take the next step in faith, trust, gratitude, like Renee just helped us get to, and love. We always get to choose. When Sue and Diana started ISD, I know they had really, really big dreams. I don't know if they imagined the depth and the beauty of the souls that were called to this divine plan. Each one of us, and I'm talking about every single one of us in the congregation, the membership, and the new souls that have joined us through Zoom as well. We all bring a unique puzzle piece: experience, pain, triumphs, education, knowledge, a special spice to add to this beautiful creation, this elixir. We're all so different and have a special wheelhouse, as Story would say, to bring to the table. I'm talking about every single one of you. We are in a time where it is safe to come together, and I'm not referring to the pandemic here. I'm thinking about these higher planes. It is safe to no longer be a hermit, to come out and share our knowledge and our gifts, and know there's a supportive group of like-minded souls to congregate and work with. Thank you, Diana and Sue, for your bravery in manifesting this dream. We've worked so hard in this great work, this inner alchemy, this ascension of consciousness, and we've climbed so high out of depths of loneliness, despair, trauma, and fear, collectively and individually. We continue to learn how to be mindful and to focus on love and gratitude and to rise up out of the shadow aspect of ourselves, to embrace those aspects. Like climbing a mountain, there are moments we certainly have to go back down when we lose our footing, fall or slip, but we keep getting back up, knowing how important it is to keep going. I kept hearing this week, slow and steady wins the race. There's no hurry. Along this journey, we found some really great friends, and we've also had to say farewell to some. With this group, when one falls, there's never a question. There's always a helping hand as we climb up together. That is how I see 2020. This beautiful group of souls coming together to support the climb up the mountain. There will always be mountains to climb and bridges to cross on our soul's journey, the hero's journey. So let's pretend for a minute we're standing at the top, and it's like that moment when you get to where you wanted to be and you're so excited, and you look and there's no way across to where you want to go next. Nature always brings us beautiful lessons. The path in the woods, this peak on the mountain. What do we do as we sit here trying to figure out how to move forward? We're at a point in our evolution and our ascension where we cannot take fear with us to the degree that we had before. Right now, we can see our fears play out right in front of us with this pandemic, our society. And I'm sure I could spew off many fears people are having right now, but it would contradict what we're building. A powerful ascension key is the focus on love and gratitude. It's realizing that fear is the focusing on that which we do not want. It is a focus. The focus on that which would cause us great angst, disorder, strife, and pain. When we shift into a thought process that all moments are divine, I'm right where I need to be. There's no room or need for fear anymore. And again, this is when our frequency is kind of at a higher state. So like Renee took us to that higher state through meditation, fear doesn't often come in when we're in that state. When we are in those lower states, those lower aspects of ourselves, those more shadow aspects of ourselves, we feel stuck in the mud. But when we start to dissolve the fear and be mindful of our thoughts in those moments when it comes up, that's when the lotus flower reaches up out of the mud to blossom. It begins and ends with our self-talk, our mind. We have evidence that we're doing this great work because we are seeing it outside of us. All of a sudden, something we were thinking about becomes a reality, whether it was fearful or it was a dream that we have, this wish that we have. And it doesn't need to be big dreams at first. It could be, I was just thinking about an orange butterfly, or I wanted a piece of chocolate. How perfect the timing. Or a pink Volkswagen bug with a peace sign on it. Oh my gosh, no way. Synchronicity. That's what my kids would say. We see things manifest in front of us because we're focusing on that which we do want in those really magical moments. And we use meditation as a vehicle, like I said, to get to these altered states where we manifest more quickly, this love resonance. And then we're able to see things from a more expansive, loving heart-mind view. And we get in this womb space, this creation space. It's this extremely magnetizing co-creative process with Mother Earth, where our thoughts and our deepest desires begin to happen outside of us. And there's a different feel in the air. The colors are rich and beautiful. The vibe around us is just feels different. And slowly we can stay there for longer periods of time. The tricky part about ascension, when there's a collective fear to the degree that we have in a pandemic, it makes it hard. But only if we choose to play in the collective fear. And when we forget, we can forgive ourselves and be patient with ourselves. This new earth frequency of coherent heart-mind resonance, that all is well and divine, it begins with loving yourself and taking care of yourself. And that has to be first, because your body is what's leveling up the frequency of your body, higher frequencies. It is your own DNA that is activating. So the self-love focus is very important to serving the whole, bringing us to wholeness, to holiness. And just because our frequency moves up and down the scales through the octaves, descending and ascending, depending on how we're feeling, it doesn't mean we aren't overall ascending. We may move into fear for a minute or just feel blah, even for a whole day, as we're working through our pieces. But we need to feel it to heal it. The light is shining on all that has been hidden or shoved down. And a few days later, we're okay again. The past 2 weeks, I've been shown outside of me both love and fear on how my thoughts are going and my feelings and intentions, where I was writing the same old stories of ailments or genetic predispositions or judgment of another that I watched play out in front of me, of course. So I decided it was time to rewrite these stories. Last weekend, I was getting ready to leave the house and spend some time with some soul sisters, you know who you are. And I was brushing my teeth and I was standing at the sink and I said, oh, I just wish this clogged drain would be free and clear and fixed. I then walked outside and I looked at the lanterns were hanging up outside and one was open to the air. And I was thinking about rain getting in. And I said, oh, I just wish that lantern would get put back up and it would be complete so it stays dry. So I left the house and I came back about 3 hours later and I walked inside and I'm walking in the kitchen and my husband looks at me and he said, oh, I fixed the drain today upstairs. I was like, whoa, wow, that was quick. That worked. But that manifested really quickly. Thought, how amazing is that? And then a couple steps later, he says, oh yeah, I also put the lantern up outside too. So it was just more evidence that this stuff works. And it's really cool to see when it happens. So I empower you all to rewrite your stories, create your magic. If you're going down the fear rabbit hole stories of the collective, try to recognize it. Grab the rope and pull yourself out of the thinking. Write the story for what you want to see. What is the best case scenario? For you, for your family, for those around us. Instead of seeing them in this more negative light, we can rewrite the stories for how we see them. When we rise up out of it through meditation and rituals, our I am presence, affirming who we really are, we have this more magnetic field that brings this information showing us that this is not what we thought it was. There's something else going on here that's pretty darn magical. This sure isn't Kansas anymore. Part of climbing that mountain is doing the work. We've done the work. We've cried, we've longed, felt alone because it may have felt that no one could have possibly ever done this before, but they have. Tom Landon shared the beautiful story of his wife Sue's final thoughts and how she said, have fun storming the castle. And I know some of that was connected to the Princess Bride. Lots of good castles symbolism with how we can look at ascension. The Wizard of Oz was this beautiful symbolic screenplay of the inner struggles and ascension. The inside mind playing out on the screenplay. The yellow brick road being this healing golden light that led us and led Dorothy to the shadow, to her shadow. The shadow, the one that says you aren't powerful. You need to take off those ruby slippers. The one that says you should be afraid and you're not good enough. But when we stand in our love frequency, this golden light melts that wicked witch inside of us like melted butter. Not hurting her, but that part of ourselves that we need to tell her that she's safe and it's okay. Embracing that shadow aspect inside as we put on our Glenda crown and fly off in a gorgeous orb. Last week I came across a video and I can't remember where I found it. It was a man in a jungle and he found a hole in a cave in the earth. He went inside it and he was really calm as he walked through. And he started seeing his pathway light up in front of him like this bioluminescence feel, kind of like on Pandora and Avatar. He was in this very blissful state. And then as you watch his face, you could see fear coming in. And all of a sudden, he saw a skull on the ground. And you could see his mind went to this dangerous type thinking, like he wasn't safe. And all of a sudden, a monster came and he was eaten by the monster. And that was the end of the video. Now, again, it sounds a little bit morbid, but I couldn't help but laugh. Because one way he could have avoided this is if he meditated before he went into the cave and he was at a higher vibe. And then what would he have found in the cave? Yeshua said, "He who lives by the sword will die by the sword." What we keep fighting in our fear will continue to fight with us and harm us. It is time we lay down the sword. I'm not saying don't have boundaries and let people walk over you, but we don't need to fight ourselves anymore. And we don't need to fight our outer reality. It also reminds me of another quote by Joseph Campbell. "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." The man in my previous example walked into the cave, but the fear blinded him from seeing the treasures that were inside. He created this hellish scenario where there really never was one. It was a beautiful cave that represented the reflective nature of the mind, the power of our mind. It's just like when you're at the top of that mountain again, like my example from before, looking to the other side, the technicolor side. You've had glimpses of it, but aren't quite sure how to get across or to stay there. So instead of fear coming out of the dark valley to get you, what if you focus instead on what you want? What if during this time you drop the fear, you commit to not going down the fear rabbit hole, and instead imagine what you need? The power of intention. Create it with your mind or simply state, "I want to find a way across." Often the how doesn't even matter. We trust and we wait. One of Abraham Hicks's teachings that Elka incorporates often in her Thursday monthly circles is not to emotionally connect to the outcome, not add worry, doubt, or fear to it. Just staying in that vibration and allowing it to come the way it needs to be cool, to stay chill, to trust it will, to go about your day, your week, or maybe even your year. Then one day when you least expect it, all of a sudden, a hand appears to help you up, a lantern to light the way. The tools show up. The perfect person with the perfect gifts appear. Circumstances change. A helicopter comes. A friend has a rocket pack. It falls into your lap, all that you need. When you're able to be in resonance with these higher frequencies. Sometimes it doesn't look exactly like you think it should, but that's the best part about surrendering the control of it, is that sometimes it turns out better than we could have even imagined. Or we're thankful it didn't turn out how we imagined. So the beauty of this divine connection, the one of faith, trust, and love, divinely on our path as the portal opens to another dimension, a higher frequency, a new way. We don't go anywhere. We're just vibrating differently. And we can cast our wishes and beautiful visions and watch the whole thing sparkle. Where fear is gone and love lights the way. If fear should come, see it, name it, and then flip it. So we have shooting stars in a gorgeous moonlit summer night on a blanket with a loved one, not a meteor coming to destroy the planet. Feel the difference? And when I specifically see a fear thought, when I recognize it and I'm mindful of it, I literally pretend I'm grabbing it and I pull it back. I transmute it, rearrange it, and then I write the story that I want. So with this current situation in our society, how can we rewrite the story? It could just be as simple as focusing on, I want to consistently breathe fresh and open air each day while standing next to all of my friends and family who are safe and free. The how doesn't matter always. A dear friend taught me that when you get into the car, you can go like this, like you're starting the ignition, even though we have a lot of buttons that start cars now, and it just signals safety. So sometimes when I'm driving and I feel a little bit of fear come in, I'll just go like this and be like, oh, I'm good now. It's worked ever since. The other thing I do also, I put on my phone about 2 years ago, a reminder at 8 o'clock a.m. that says, I would like to have a day of heaven on earth. And it always brings me back each morning. And oh, the magic that ensues from that beautiful reminder. So as we continue to rewire our toxic thought patterns of fear, we can transform them into this golden quantum river, forming our new creation. Clicking our ruby slippers together, remembering that we have had them all along. There are many ways I've seen the rainbow bridge analogy used. One important one is Chiron. I don't know if any of you have heard of the Chiron pieces. Chiron, a centaur, and it was a wounded and had trauma. We've all had that. And he became a wounded healer and eventually a master teacher. And he's an important force in astrology that shows us where our deepest wound is. And for those of you who are interested, you can Google Chiron and try to figure out what your Chiron is, which is that one aspect that you've struggled with for so long. And what ends up happening is we learn to overcome it and master it so that we can then take it out and teach others how to overcome it. This wounded healer piece that we all here at ISD have gone through, that all those pieces ourselves, and the beauty of being able to share what we've learned in the process. So this rainbow bridge piece is moving from these lower aspects of consciousness to our higher self. And this rainbow bridge from this third dimensional viewpoint, which is more Saturn, to this fifth dimensional viewpoint, which moves us into this Uranus archetype. And I'd like to thank my mentor for reminding me of the importance of Chiron and the rainbow bridge. So it's this portal of intention and focusing on what we do want to be able to cross the mountain to get to that place where we're going. Intention, faith, and trust. As we vision our rainbow bridge to Oz and bring the teachings back to Kansas, we're reminded that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. No longer walking through the day destructing, but constructing. Having faith in our new earth creation. And having fun in this new earth playground. It's a really fun place once we learn the rules on how to be here. How to create here. Love is the key. And fear will always keep us from reaching that or making it harder to sustain it. And don't get me wrong, we're going to feel fear. It comes in, doubt comes in sometimes. But when we learn to mindfully see it, we can then change it. We can storm the castle, make it shimmer and sparkle, stand in our power and divine sovereignty. When we become the tower, like in tarot, we no longer get pushed out of the tower or have the fear of getting pushed out of the tower. It's not out there, it's in here. Yeshua said, the kingdom is within. I want to take a minute before closing to feel our sister Sue around us. She's helping us in ways I think that we're going to be mesmerized in the weeks and months to come. It makes me laugh because my son all of a sudden has started singing hallelujah. And I don't walk around the house singing hallelujah, so he didn't hear it from me. And he was singing it while I was typing this, and I could feel her presence. I'm going to end with a wonderful surprise from Tom that Sue had written when she realized she was going to be transitioning soon. Her words here for us today. Quote, one piece of advice. Would you please stop paying attention to the current events? Geez Louise, what's it going to take to get you to focus on joy, inspiration, and love and compassion, rather than whatever the current public breeze is stenching your way? Learn that. Love that. End quote. We dedicate this service to you, Sue, and we thank you, Sue. Aho, and blessings on your magical journey. Thanks, everybody.